My strategy is just to speak not to the products, but to speak to the people who love and use and need the products. And so it's never been my intention to go viral at all. It's always just to be about value over virality.
Welcome to Sisters Inc., our podcast for and about women business owners, brought to you by Black Enterprise. I'm your host, Elisa Gumbs. Black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in America. And on every episode of Sisters Inc., we sit down with one successful CEO and share how she slays the challenges of being a Black woman in business. Today's episode is all about having a product go viral. We're chatting with Maya Smith, the CEO, co-founder, and creative director of multi-million-dollar beauty brand The Do, whose Mousse Def styling foam for curls and waves has exploded on TikTok. Welcome to Sisters Inc., Maya, and thanks so much for sitting down with us today.
Thank you for having me.
You have more than 30 years of experience as a licensed cosmetologist, which I'm pretty sure cannot be chronologically accurate, but we'll just go with it since that's what you have in your bio.
That's absolutely true.
What made you want to become an entrepreneur?
If I'm really transparent, I think we kind of use the word entrepreneur, just kind of we throw it around these days. I wanted to be an artist. I'm an artist that happens to do hair. I saw my path going into, I guess, an entrepreneurial journey. I think people in the beauty service industry are entrepreneurs, whether they like it or not, because we're running our own businesses, we're creating our own lane. But entrepreneurship, as far as building businesses, building a brand, wasn't necessarily what I was going after first. I just saw a need in my community, and the pathway to growing and scaling the business, is really what took me on this journey.
Yeah. And what made you want to make the leap from being a service provider in the beauty
Mhm.
space to creating and selling products?
Well, I've been, like you said, in this business for a really long time. And what I was seeing was just this deficit in the retail space. There wasn't a professional voice. The voice of particularly the textured hair care stylist just wasn't present at all in the retail arena. So while you could go to my salon and I could sit people in my chair and educate them and help them with their hair care needs, there wasn't a place for my clients to go. There wasn't a place for the people who were following the do to go to really get that same kind of treatment. Typically, when you step into retail spaces, most of those brands, just in textured hair care or just hair care period, are created more by marketers, but there's rarely a professional voice. It's particularly coming from the Black salon, which it's in itself is its own institution, right? So for me, there wasn't a place that my clients could go to really get that stylist expertise at shelf. And so I wanted to create something that even if they couldn't come and sit in my chair, that if they're in their local drugstore, mass retail, big box store, they could still get professional hair care, because I really believe that people of color deserve excellent hair care, salon grade, salon quality hair care wherever they are.
Absolutely. Your branding is so different than anything else in the hair care space. The Do has a bold aesthetic and uses riffs on 90s hip hop for product names like Bonita Bubble Balm, which I think is my favorite, and Crazy Sexy Curl. What was behind the decision to use that as your inspiration?
We really just wanted the brand to be authentic to our lived experience, right? I'm obviously a hip hop head. I grew up in the 90s. I did all of my cosmetology education and, a lot of my stylist grooming, if you will, working as an assistant, sweeping up hair in the salon in the 90s. And so much of, I wouldn't say at all that the Do is a 90s brand, but I would say so much of my creative inspiration comes from my experience growing up in the hair salon and starting my career in high school. So I just wanted the brand to reflect not only my experience and how the brand, how, the do came to be, but it's important to me that the do is a mirror to the people that we're serving. And we created the brand when I was overseas. And the one thing that united everybody, whether they were coming to the salon from London or from Africa, or they were in Europe or coming from America in the military, we all loved the same music. So I've always seen music, culture, art, the do is this intersection of fashion, art, music, culture, and hair, right? I've always wanted people to unite on that same wavelength, and I wanted it to reflect the people that really love the brand.
Do you think that that authenticity and that emphasis on culture is part of why the brand resonates so much with consumers and stands out in what is now a very crowded hair care market?
Oh, absolutely. I think, authenticity is another word that we throw around a lot, but I think that, this brand is created by a real hairstylist. Every single product that you see from the Do is tested, it's developed by me personally. Nothing leaves my desk. Nothing gets on the shelf without leaving my desk first. So I think that the thing that sets us apart really is that we're not, pretending to be created by stylists. We actually are, and I think that contributes the most to what people see. It's something that you can feel. It's not something that can be manufactured. And I think that has a great deal to do with the connection that the culture has, because this is a brand created by and for the culture.
Yeah, you're not pretending to be created by a stylist, you're not pretending to be created by a Black woman, and you're not pretending to be created by someone who's down for the culture. So it's
Right.
yeah, it's
It's important to see yourself. And I think that's really what sets us apart, is that the people who love the do see themselves in the brand, and they know that it's real, and that it's not made up.
yeah. So let's get into now some of this social success that you've seen. We know that you can't plan to have a product go viral, but there are intentional things you can do to help your product get noticed online. What can you
Mhm.
share with us about the company's social media strategy?
So first of all, what you should know is I just got like help with social media over the past year. Um, I I know that it may seem, because it's the norm, right, in this space for people to have these, brands to have these huge social media teams and a lot of strategy behind it. My strategy is just to speak not to the products, but to speak to the people who love and use and need the products. And so it's never been my intention to go viral at all. It's always just to be about value over virality, to really add value to the life and to the experience of the people who are using the products. I think that's how, when you're not looking for the attention, you tend to get it. That's been our experience. I think the difference, the do has gone viral like over and over again since we came. I think we started on Instagram in like 2010, before we even had like an official hair care brand. We were on, we were going viral, just the content that we were creating, like, speaking to the culture. And I think what the difference is now is that now we actually have the infrastructure in our company to take those conversations offline. And I think that's what has contributed a lot to the virality of the brand at this point.
Yeah, as you've been getting some help with social media, do you have any particular emphasis on TikTok, which has really been a lifeline for so many small businesses?
Yeah, it's funny because TikTok, I was late to the party. Like I was kind of side eyeing TikTok. I wasn't sure. And I'm still Gen X. So I'm like that last year of Gen X. So I wasn't really impressed with TikTok even over the pandemic, when there are a lot of brands that were really leveraging it to speak to their audience. I wanted to make sure that whatever we had for TikTok was authentic content that could be digestible to the TikTok person, right? I think TikTok, though, took on legs of its own. We had a lot of user generated content. we had a bit of a presence, but it really has been our consumer. It's been our customer that's really embraced the do and decided that they wanted to talk about it. And I think that's the nature of apps like TikTok, where you really have to respect the way that your customers want to congregate around your product. You don't have any control over it. Typically, what you'll see is a brand. We put out a lot of TikTok content that's very educational, and I think that, myself coming up there and explaining this is how you use a product, this is what's behind, our thought process and using the product is valuable on TikTok. But I think, the constant sharing and what makes the product go viral is the people that love it. They're completely responsible for the sharing and resharing and the think pieces, whether they hate something or love it. We have to respect that's the way that they're shopping us. That's the way they're consuming information from the do. And I think it's something that you have to embrace.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that the best brands do is turn their customers into
Mhm.
like evangelicals, champions of the brand. And you talked a
Right.
lot about respecting what the customers want and how they want to talk about
Mhm.
it. Do you do a lot of social listening or other kinds of listening to your customers in order to get that understanding of what they want?
Well, I think coming from the salon environment, again, with this brand being born from the salon, I've had this unique experience to my competitors where I have been the person standing behind the chair who's eavesdropping on all of the conversations that my clients and the girl next to me, her clients, we know what our customer wants. We know what she hates. We know what she's afraid of. We know what keeps her up at night. And I think that that's something that, again, sets us apart. So I didn't have to do a lot of work other than, my clients being my focus group. I utilize the people in my community who, in my opinion, Black women, women of color, Latina women are the most valuable. They're our best natural resource when it comes to finding out what is the most important to our consumers. Always really been important to me that, if I'm making products for us, that I'm using and utilizing, leveraging those voices to inform my decisions. I don't want anyone else to tell me what she needs but her directly. So I think that, I mean, long answer to your question, but I think that what instead of doing, these broad focus groups and broad surveys from people that I don't know, I've had, the distinct advantage of tapping into the community that I've been a part of, both my professional community, that's a whole other thing. Do Gang Pro are, this amazing group of talented stylists who use the products and they can tell me if they love or hate something. And we've also been able to listen directly to people on the street.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the stylist because I know that that's another community that you really stay deeply connected to. And in the early days of the product, a lot of the word of mouth and the buzz was coming from stylists themselves about your products, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that is my community. So what a lot of people don't know is the do didn't we didn't start in retail. We started in salon. It is a professional product that just happens to be in mass retail. I created the brand for my salon, really strictly for use in the salon because, low key, my game plan was to create more salons. And so I was like, well, let's scale the brand from, brick and mortar. I didn't necessarily have aspirations of creating a brand that would be in retail. It just happened that way because the demand was there. And like I said, there was a lot of white space and this deficit in the shopping experience for women of color. So, I mean, the stylist community is really what created the initial buzz. A lot of people don't know that, like, the reason why, Moose Def went viral, what, 10 years ago, was behind the stylist community when I first created it. All of the media that you see now is kind of this repeat and this resurgence of something that's really spearheaded by the professional community. And we're really, really grateful for that. Now we're in Cosmoprof, and we're doing an event with Salon Centric, which are strictly professional outlets. So it's funny how we started in salon, went to masstige, and now we're able to dedicate a lot more energy and time to really nurture my stylist community. So first things first is definitely everything starts with the stylist.
Okay. By the end of last year, there were 18 million posts on TikTok, 18 million about
Yeah,
Moose Def. As great as that
that's
exposure
crazy.
is, it is crazy, right? It's hard to
Crazy.
wrap your brain around. As great as that exposure is, many times when a small business goes viral, it leads to fulfillment issues. Websites
Hmm.
crash, products are sold out,
Hmm.
orders are delayed. We've heard this before with companies that end up on Oprah's favorite list or on Shark Tank.
Hmm.
What have you learned about getting a company ready for big moments like that?
Infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. You need to be prepared. At this point, we're prepared for anything to go viral at any time. So having what we call safety stock, making sure that, we have enough for a rainy day. When it comes to, like you said, a lot of those supply chain issues happen, and will happen over the next few quarters for a lot of brands, making sure that there's packaging, that those things are purchased ahead of time. Moose Def is the number one moose in the category. So we know we're prepared for Moose Death to go crazy. What we weren't prepared for was bananas. Like we are hanging by the seat of our pants on, a lot of these new drops that we had. I have been extremely blessed and excited to see, the virality of a lot of our newer products. But like I said, infrastructure is really important. Making sure that your forecasting is up to par, that about how much you need to be producing, per week, per month, is has been really instrumental. So having not just good relationships with your manufacturers, but having the talent as a part of your team who can help you make those forecasts accurate, is the part of the infrastructure that you don't get. You don't know that when you first get in. You first start in this business, you just so happy to be there. You just doing what you can do. But too much business can break the business. So, in our experience, I think we learned with the pandemic that you can't take packaging for granted. You can't take labels for granted. You can't take paper for boxes for granted. So, I think we've done a really good job in making sure that those things we're planning ahead and we keep those things warehoused and ready.
Yeah. I know one of the things that you're also doing is investing in e-commerce. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So, what's funny is when we started, I got in Target 2007, 2017, 2018. And we were so intent on investing in that partnership and making sure it was successful that we were pushing all of our e-commerce just to the site. I didn't want to do e-commerce. And the pandemic happened and everybody needed everything. So that was like the first time that we really took it seriously, that we started to really invest in our own e-com. And then with the growth of the brand, being seen in more retailers, the virality of these TikTok, products, these things that have grown legs of their own. The B Girl Curl Custard like blew up. Nobody knew that was going to happen. Bananas, Moose Def, Crazy Sexy Curl are creating new conversations. So what we've done is just kind of open that up, and leveraged our e-commerce. Like I said before, it's really important that you never know what's going to go viral. So making sure that when it happens, you can leverage that moment and bring your customers that are just finding the brand offline. You have to take that conversation offline because we don't own these apps. So um, this is the first year that we're scaled enough as a company where we have the help, we have the talent, we have the infrastructure to build upon those viral moments. And I mean, like I said, we've been viral a bunch of times, but if you don't know what to do with that once it happens, then it kind of just goes away. You know how the social media news cycle is like 15 minutes long. So
Maybe not even that long.
So you move it or lose it, and we're finally at a place, where we've grown at the do where we can actually use it. So we're excited and really, really proud of that.
I'm so glad you said that. That was literally my next question is about what do you do with it when it comes? Because virality is great, but at the end of the day, sales are what matter for businesses. And
Hmm.
so can you share how you're leveraging your hero product and all of your vital products and your social media fame to directly impact the company's bottom line?
I've always been a person, just an individual and an artist that leans into what only I can do. Anybody can sell you some hair cream. There's a whole lot of it out there. There's a whole lot of mousses that have come after Mousse Def, right? But what we do best, is educate. Coming from behind that chair, explaining why we created it, explaining what other products go with it, sharing more about the brand and why this is the product for you, is really where we lean in. Once something goes viral, I like to just back it up with more education. A lot of times people love a product because their favorite influencer or the girl they're watching on TikTok loves it, but they don't really know about enough about it to know if it's for them. So leaning into the part of the do that is really rare and, that's different from our competitors when it comes to, telling the stories of the people that use the products, whether it be through through our ads, through AI, through some of the questions that we ask, just the engagement, letting them know that we created this product for them and it's not just kind of out there, in the ether for purchase, but it also is intended and created to improve your everyday hair care experience. Showing people what's behind the brand to me is the way to capture that viral moment, so that they're not just kind of passing through. They see it, they find it, but they want to stay around and stick around to learn more about the brand and be a part of our community.
Yeah. And I have to say that even your basic product information on your packaging or your website is deeper than everyone else's, telling people what the products do and how you should use it to make it do what it do, as you guys put it.
I try to keep it simple. I try to keep it simple. When you pick up a jar, in your favorite retail outlet or you purchase something online, the first thing is like, well, what did it do? That's what you're thinking in your head. So I'm trying to speak directly to what you were saying to yourself, not necessarily even what you're, saying to me. Making things simple and, relatable is I think, our superpower. And I hope we're able to continue on that path as we grow.
Well, you launched the products in 2015, so you're 10 years in now. As you mentioned, you're available at mass retail, Target, Walmart, Amazon, Sally Beauty, CVS, and you have achieved stellar growth of 20% a year since 2017. What is next for the Do?
Um, I really believe in digging in deeper. Um, sure, we want to enlarge our territory, right? We want to have, more accessibility. I'm a strong believer because as a stylist, I don't think that there should be exclusivity to the salon environment for superior products. I think that people with curly hair should have access, whether you're in, your Target, your Walmart, your Sally, wherever you choose to purchase, your personal care, the product should meet a certain standard. So for us, it's really just about not only being more available in more of those outlets so that people don't have to go so far to find the products that they need, but also digging our roots in deeper to the communities that we serve to get here. Because the do wasn't, again, it wasn't created, as a brand just to be, selling hair products. I started this and created this serving people, from behind the chair. And being connected to those people, bringing them along on that journey is a huge priority for us. So we want to be more embedded into our community, and part of that is, more activations, being more accessible, doing more direct education, and showing, the people who love to do a side of the brand that they wouldn't otherwise have access to just from the shelf.
Yeah. You've already shared so many gems, Maya, but before I let you go, I have to ask you one more. What is your best advice for other entrepreneurs about using social media to fuel their sales?
Think about who you are serving, and not about selling. When you're chasing the bag, it's really hard to find it. I think when you are hyper focused on the needs and the pain points and the experience of who you are reaching out to, that genuine connection leads to something so authentic that you can't really lose it. And I think that we go a lot of times for like I said, for virality. We go for a lot of attention, but if you do things for attention and not with intention, you can lose people who otherwise would have really been locked into the brand. So thinking about them being consumer first, consumer centric, is still, even in a viral moment, which a lot of times, right, can seem superficial. Even in a viral moment, if you are very focused on the people that you're serving instead of just what they can do for you, once that relationship stops being so transactional, and it starts to feel like you're sharing with your customer, then not only will that viral moment go a lot further, but you'll be able to capture that person, or that, yeah, that person as a part of your community in a way that's long lasting. And I'd like to see more of that, particularly with Black owned brands, because it's so important that when our consumer finds us, that they have a real reason to stay. And so that would be my advice, is just to think about them first, and the money will come.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maya, for sharing your small business success story. Everyone out there, please take a look at the company website, thedou.com, and that's spelled DOUX. You can also follow them on YouTube at The Do, Facebook at Love The Do, and TikTok, Instagram, or Pinterest at I Love The Do. Check out the video channel on blackenterprise.com to find Sisters Inc. and other shows from Black Enterprise editors, writers, and experts. Be sure to subscribe to Sisters Inc. on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, or Apple Podcasts. And if you like what you hear, show us some love by leaving a 5-star review or put a sister on by spreading the word. I'm Elisa Gums with Sisters Inc. for Black Enterprise. Thank you for listening.